are going to make presentations. There's 6 workshops that are going to be presented. First one starting at 8 a.m., the last one starting at 2:45. And at any rate, I just wanted to make sure if you didn't get it, I will share it with you. It looks like it's going to be very interesting. It says the exhibitor fair at the Congress of Neighborhoods highlights resources that can support neighborhood councils in their work throughout Los Angeles. So,
please
and
send
this
it out.
meeting is okay. And then we have hands raised. We're going to start with Donna.
I wanted to thank everybody and congratulate everybody regarding the event on Saturday. I was extremely impressed. It was a lot of fun. It was an opportunity for those who did not come. They surely should have taken the time. It was a lot of work, I realized that, and I wanted to come on and make sure that I told everybody that I was extremely impressed. I was there the first couple of weeks when this neighborhood council was started with Sylvia Lacey at the 10th Avenue Washington Stop-In Center. So it has come a long way. So thank you so much. I appreciate the time and effort put forth, and you really deserve congratulations.
Thank you, Donna.
Thank you.
That was very
Thank
good of you. And Lizzie?
Words. Yes, good evening, everyone. Thank you again, Donna, for just helping out from so early on, 2 hours before, even 3 hours before the event. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I would like to bring to your attention this year's Civic U. U is for university. So another opportunity for us neighborhood council board members to learn more about city government, the structure, equity in resources, and how to manage, how to navigate the waters of city government. Dolores and I attended last year. It is over 3 meetings, 3 Thursday nights. Highly recommended. You will come out feeling that you can do a better job as a neighborhood council member. And so just wanted to let you know, you should have received an email yesterday from Vanessa Serrano. So please try to enroll and attend, and you'll get a nice certificate. Thank you.
Thank you. Right. Any more public comments?
Yes,
Hi, Dolores.
hi, everybody. Teresa, did you talk about the coffee with a cop?
No, I haven't, Dolores.
Were you going to?
No.
Oh,
I forgot. I'm here for the recap on our event. So yes, please go right ahead. I can post it in the chat.
There's a coffee with a cop in Jefferson Park at the Starbucks on the corner of Jefferson and Western, and that will be tomorrow, Wednesday, September 21st. And it is from 9:30 a.m. to 11:30.
Okay.
That is correct.
Thank you. Well, I know exactly where that is. But I will be at work. Okay. Let us move on to the are there any more public comments? I'm sorry. Okay, then we're going to move on to the secretary's report. Sarah Long Henry and husband are taking a few days trip out of town, and well, I'm not sure if they're out of town, but anyway, they're taking some time off. And so she is not with us this evening, but we do have her minutes. And come on, computer. I'm getting to my, oh, I see. I'm sorry, the computer's moving stuff around. I don't know where to look for it. And so here are the minutes from last meeting. And I'm going to, Executive Committee meeting minutes, August 16th, 2022. Meeting was called to order by me. Agenda, approval of agenda. I didn't even do that, did I? Oh my goodness, wait a minute. Let's go back to the agenda. Let me finish scrolling. I start talking. All right, so for tonight, we are giving our report. We have a presentation by Helen Kim, attendance training. We have, is Laura on yet? Standing rules update, wildlife, presentation by Dolores. Teresa's gonna recap the anniversary program. We will have the co-naming of Crenshaw Boulevard, or portion with as Malcolm X Boulevard. Greg is going to address committee reports, and that concludes our agenda. Can I get approval for the agenda? By, let's see, who that would have to be Paul and Greg and me.
There you go. We approve.
Okay.
We approve.
All righty. So now we're going on to the secretary's report. All right, so we stopped with approval of the agenda, general comments. We have Sarah's report, Paul's report, Greg, funding requests by Laura for the home, Laura, Charlie, and Elizabeth. I think Laura did it on home composting workshop. We had Lizzie looking for funds for the UNNC outreach expenses, which we approved $1,500. Did attendance and training, announced that Lolita Justice left our group. Laura spoke on standing rules. We did a recommendation for Teresa to the CFAC. Sarah Lacey talked about internships. Taylor did a community impact statement. Greg talked about committee reports, old business, and the meeting was adjourned at 8:48. Are there any questions?
Nope. Recommend we accept and approve the minutes as presented.
All right.
Second that.
All righty. And I approve.
Right,
It's just the three of us that can vote.
there we go.
All right. So the next thing up is the treasurer's report.
Paul, I put the last MERS in the folder. I think it's the August one.
Meaning you uploaded them to the portal? Or
No,
you're talking about for September?
I downloaded the MERS for August. So that's the one that we need to approve, correct?
No, we've already approved. Well, my understanding is, and based on what I see on the portal,
Yes.
the MERS for July and August,
Yes.
excuse me, July has been approved.
Yes.
August, it's still, it shows it hasn't uploaded the BAC yet. So
That's correct. Yes.
so we can do that. I can do that.
Okay. But that's the only one
tonight.
that's the only one that I downloaded.
Okay. But we do have the BAC for that now, and that can be uploaded.
Okay.
I actually looked at the site earlier today. I thought I misread it for some reason. I thought it had been uploaded. So that needs to be done still. Anything else, Greg, you were going to say?
No, that's the only budget
Okay.
reporting item. So do you want me to show it? Do you want me to?
You can, I mean, yeah, you're welcome to show it if you like, and I can talk while you're getting ready to do that. Just to comment that for everyone that the admin package, which makes all the changes represents all the changes, me as treasurer, Greg as president, Grace as signatory, and who the signers and card holders are. All that's been submitted to the city. So hopefully within the next few days, we can get, I can get all the privileges that I need to be able to manage the portal for our neighborhood council. So that should happen soon. And this is August, right? So I guess we need to do the BA. Well, we would, do we have, I thought we have a BAC for August already approved.
Honestly,
So,
I don't remember, but here it is. And
Okay.
we don't need to do the BAC here. We
Correct.
just need to just, here it is. Just an overview. But we don't have to necessarily vote on it because it's at the.
Correct. But I do want to say high level year to date, our expenses year to date are just shy of $4,300. And that includes the charge already for SERFAs for the anniversary, and then there's a smart and final charge for about 143 that's also included in there in that number, which I believe also was for the anniversary event. And I just want to make a shout out to Teresa for really bringing the cost down from what we originally expected, and going to the extra mile to find alternative means of getting things to arrive on the tables and in the room there at Surfa's on Saturday, which unfortunately I had to miss. But kudos to Teresa for all of her hard work on that. And that's the end of my report.
All right.
Unless there are questions.
And are there any?
No, I just, Paul.
Lizzie has.
I'm sorry.
Looks like Lizzie has a question.
No, I was just applauding.
Well, actually, since you were applauding, reminds me, I do have a question for you about the, we approved, expenses for marketing materials, handouts, giveaways. I was wondering where you were on that, or if somebody else is working on that with you. And when
Yes, we are working on that. The invoice is it will be submitted any day now.
Okay, great.
We are working. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Paul, we need to check with the city about our rollover funds.
Yes, we do.
They still owe us some money, way overdue for that.
Wow.
Yeah, so
right.
I mean, so I'm sorry, I'm going to go ahead and carry on here just a second. The rollover funds reminds me, I mean, currently we still have about $27,711 remaining in our budget, not counting the rollover funds. So, and the fact that Teresa was able to spend less of our budgeted dollars, that means this frees up additional monies we could maybe divert at some point during the year to more neighborhood project grants or something like that, which would be really cool. I conclude
I don't know
portion.
why review of standing rules is under Paul's name, but
yeah.
For some reason it's there.
Yeah.
But that is later on in the agenda, so we're going to keep on. Now we're to Greg.
Okay. Heather Hutt is appointed as of the 2nd. Again, she was at our anniversary event and quite humorous and good nature and well-spoken. So great, just super good. So we were glad that she is in place. She is serving as a voting member of the city council. So we're very happy about that, and we're looking forward of working with her. And I just feel a very good relationship with her, particularly since her and boss lady Dolores are like best buds. So So you know, it's really good. So I suppose the next big thing we will ask for is some office space, but we'll work on that one. So
Yes,
so-
please,
Yes.
Can we wait till
Please.
she's been in office for at least a month?
well,
It's
we can
only
wait.
been-
No,
it's
it
only
takes us
been
a while.
2 weeks.
our
No,
closet has termites.
yes, we can.
Please
Yes,
expedite the move.
yes,
And storage space.
Yes, yes. Okay, so
Dolores,
that's
Gosh.
we have to
Okay.
have her do something more than practice her signature.
yeah. Okay, so that's that part. My next item is okay. So the next item on my list is executive officers' concerns and job needs. This part is just where I want to say to all of the executive board members, I am going to make a greater effort to go beyond sending you emails, but to reach out to you and call you and talk to you about different things because, you know, we, all of us, I think, have been assuming that you know, things are done or that who's doing it or the transition. So I just want to make sure that we have all those things covered and that we check on it. So just expect calls from me or call me so that we can talk about things. But if, for this meeting, is there anything that executive board members want to talk to me about or mention as far as our practices and things that you think I should focus on or concerns that you have about your current job?
Lizzie,
Okay.
is your hand? Oh, no.
No.
That's
Okay.
my computer. I'm sorry.
Okay.
You know, I need to get with you on opening up the meeting and admitting people and all of those things. I mean, you usually do it and you're here,
Right, right.
but if for some reason you weren't available, I have no idea how to do that.
Okay, okay. That's on our list then. That is on our
That's
list.
a very small thing.
That's a big thing when
You're
it
doing a
doesn't
great
work.
job.
It's a big thing when it doesn't work. But
When
it's a
everybody's
small-
sitting in the waiting room,
Yeah,
like.
yeah. It's a big thing when you got the wrong Zoom link, you know, for some reason. It's a big deal. And embarrassing. Okay, so the next thing on my list is kind of related to that, executive protocols. We just need to be clear about like our timelines, like whenever we have the agenda drafted, then it will go out and it's not, and we need to approve it. We need to have executive members approve the agenda. So when you see that there's a draft agenda, please look at it and then say you approve or make suggestions for it. And then we, far as the financial things, that's always a fluid process because the city always seems to always bring up something new as we're going through that, but we just want to make sure that we are in sync and share what we know about the process, and then submitting things for the agenda. So a growing process for each of us, growing pains, but we will keep moving forward with that. Then the next item on my list, we haven't received any applicants for the vacant position, Region 1, Area 1, Seat 2, Group B, but we will keep advertising that. And then the last thing that I have, let me see if I can pull it up, is, let's see if this works. Let's see if this will work for us. Like, okay, committee list. Let me share screen. Okay, so these are all the committees and we do need chair. Can everyone see this? Can everyone see this screen?
Yes.
Spreadsheet?
Yes.
Okay, so this is my it's still in draft mode because I still have all the information that we're looking for, but the different committees, the chairpersons for those committees, and for some of the committees, we are still looking for one. Like, for example, for Rex and Park, I have Donna Jones and Teresa there as the co-chairs, but they're covering it, but we still are looking for a chairperson for that. The part that I wanted to point out for us today was that, we want to have a brief from each of the committees. And so what I have here is just like a cycle, or when one or two of them will report to us. And I'm taking it on myself just to remind them, like, can you give a report in October? Like, who do we have here for October? So homelessness and public safety, for them to give us a report. And we're focusing on the projects that they're working on, the things that they need, the things that they have accomplished, and the things that, of course, that's related to the things that they want us to know and celebrate about their work. But this way, everyone knows that, that if they need money, money's there for them, that they should be working towards the goals that they have set, and they can share their progress on that. But again, I'm taking that on myself to just remind them. And of course, we can't make people report. If they say I don't have anything to report, then so be it. But we just want to encourage people to share items from their work. And we're working with the belief that the real work of UNNC is done at the committee level. That's the real work. And the executive committee was just kind of like planning things, and then the actual board approves the funding, so forth. But the real work is done at the committee level. So we really want to support and empower them in their work. So any thoughts or questions about any of those items? Okay, I think that's it for my report.
Okay. All right, our next item is
funding. Miss
yes, Helen Kim, the fence banner sponsorship.
Miss Kim, do you want me to show the flyer, or do you want me to show the funding request first?
I can just go ahead and talk about it if that's okay. I just want to thank you all for letting me come to your meeting. I've never been to a neighborhood council meeting before, and I'm actually very interested and very into all of this. And it's just very inspirational that you guys are working on this for the city. So thank you for that. I can talk about our project. So I'm a parent at Mid-Cities Prescott School of Enriched Sciences, which is on the corner of Arlington and Adams, going up that hill. It's the southwest corner of the intersection right there. It's a really small LAUSD Title I school. I've been there for about 2 years now, and it's kind of lost its momentum with parents just because of the pandemic. All the involved parents kind of went on, and they're at different middle schools now. So it's been kind of a struggle. I started a PTO there, and one of the things we want to do is bring more activities to the parents' schools, get everybody involved. So we've been around since about March. One of our big fundraising projects to pay for programs and all that stuff is this banner sponsorship. And it's basically because our school is a 78% low income school. We also are a very small school of just 200 kids. So, I really don't want to put pressure on our parents to fundraise and donate money. And, nobody likes to sell things, buy things that we don't need and have our families buy them. So I'm really trying to focus on this banner program to interact with businesses and local community orgs in the area to purchase a banner. So for, public orgs, nonprofit organizations, we have a banner that's $300. It's a 2x5. It would stay on the fence right outside our school for the duration of the school year until about, the beginning of next school year. If there's anything that happens like damage or otherwise to the banner, we would replace it free of charge. And some projects that we're planning right now for the school, we're planning a native butterfly garden. That's our first thing that we have on our beautification. I'm really personally into native plants. So we've been working with a school garden specialist from Theodore Payne as to, how to plan this butterfly garden. So of course that requires funding. We also want to raise money for student incentives to participate in academic programs like, a readathon, science fair. We have a geography bee planned for November, like things like that. And then also, teacher and staff appreciation, just showing them, appreciating them during Teacher Appreciation Week and all that stuff. Also, just miscellaneous insurance, organizational filing fees, and that kind of thing. So that's what we're all raising money for. So.
Okay, so the funding request is for $300, and the benefit, and so it supports the school, which is in keeping with one of the things that we can fund. But the benefit, this is a self plug for UNNC. It helps us in the sense that it's putting our logo out, almost like a bulletin board, poster board. So I like the concept because it's supporting the kids, and then I also like the concept because we're really working on our public relations and advertising our service to the community. And with this sign up there with our new logo, I think this is a good use of our funds and a good use of getting the UNC name out there.
Paul has his hand up.
So let me make sure I'm not on mute. I'm not on mute. Hi, Helen. So I think it's a great idea. I guess, so basically, essentially, just so I understand, you're selling advertising space on the fence, and you're basically coming to us to see if we'd be interested in buying like a 3x5 banner size. I guess I think it's a great idea. I think we need advertising, right, for the community. But the question I would have would be, did you already get approval? Like, is there some issue with the city in terms of using city space or the school for advertising? Do you have to get that approved?
Well, I did talk to our principal about it, and she knows, but other LAUSD schools do it regularly. I don't know if they do it in our area, and maybe that's why, but I've seen it at a lot of schools. But actually, no, I haven't checked beyond our principal.
Yeah,
so,
no, it's great that it can be done, and
right.
use those funds for the kids.
Right.
Greg has his hand up.
As a former principal, we do it all the time.
Oh,
okay, cool.
It's
good
legit.
to know.
It's a legit. It's a good use of funds.
Yes.
And good use of school space. Yes.
Teresa.
Thank you, Paula, and welcome, Helen. I'm glad you're not only seeing how our board operates, but that you are interested in it. I would like to ask about the butterfly garden that you're creating. That's something that we are actively working on also in our footprint. We've done several events where we've given out native butterfly milkweed seeds to encourage butterfly planting from Theodore Payne. And we actually have, right now, I actually have some seedlings that are probably like 6 to 8 feet inches tall that are ready for planting. So I'm not quite sure where you are with your planting, but certainly I'd be willing to donate my seedlings and then some additional seeds if you need them.
Oh, that would be amazing. Our school, it is such a lovely campus. We have so many areas of distinct green space. I mean, you just hear about how all these LAUSD schools are just hardscaped and it's all blacktop and there's no nature, but we have we have a whole garden in the back. Then we have a whole hill that's there, and the school already said I could do whatever I want with it. There's more grass on the side, on the other side of a driveway. So we just have so much space. I am just focusing on a smaller space right now. The woman who was at Theodore Payne, she came out and she did a whole walkthrough, and she identified this small area to do first, just because, it's a test run. And there's already native plants growing on that area. So, so it means that, they'll do well there, basically. So that's our first step. But if you'd ever want to come on our campus, you can come walk through, and it's really lovely. And we have a little tiny boxes of native plants already. So.
Okay, well, I think I would like to do that. And I'd also like to invite Donna Jones, who's also a fellow gardener. And we both work on recreation and parks. So we would love to come and take a look and see if there's any other ways we can help kind of beautify and greenify your space.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I've actually, I'm in contact with this group called Angelinos for Green Schools. And the woman, her name is Allie, who's in charge. She just had a meeting with someone from LAUSD about these mini forests. So I said I would be interested in that, because we have, like I mentioned, this huge space of land behind the school. It's on the campus, but it's a hill. It's kind of a hill, but it's not utilized at all. So
what you mean? You said mini forest. Do you mean micro forest?
Oh yes, micro forest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Dolores has a question.
Yes, I'm looking at the agenda with the funding request. It doesn't have a cost on there for the banner.
Oh, it's $300.
That's what you're looking for us to contribute towards our UNNC space on your banner?
Yes. And if you have a banner already in mind, a banner design, you can use that. Or if you want us to compile a banner design for you, we can do that too.
All right. We have Donna Jones with a question.
West Adams Avenues is the neighborhood association where you basically Arlington to Crenshaw, West Adams to the 10 freeway on the south. And we would like to discuss having a banner for West Adams Avenues.
Oh, amazing.
Designed to remind people when our meetings are and such. So I want to talk with our quality of life committee and talk about doing a banner to hang, which would give people an opportunity to see when our meetings are and the name of the association within the area.
Did you say that was the historical association?
No, it's the neighborhood association from Arlington to Crenshaw and West Adams to the 10 freeway on the south.
Okay, great.
Two customers.
And Paul, you had something else to say?
Yeah, I guess it's more for the board. So we would need to get a 3x5 banner, or do we have something we could use already?
We could look at what they have for their design and let our communication team look at it and see what would be best.
Okay.
So our communication people will work with their people.
All right. So then are we approving to move this forward?
I just have one more question.
Oh, go ahead, Dolores.
How long is the $300 good for?
So the banner would say, we're planning to get the banners made mid-October. We're trying to get, have a few to order at the same time. So mid-October, and then it would stay up until the start of the next school year. Yeah.
All right. So that's Greg, Paul, and myself. Are we in agreement that we are going to now move this project onto the governing board agenda?
I agree. I approve.
Okay, we got thumbs up. Okay.
Do we
All
have
right,
the paperwork for this?
Yes,
Ma'am?
Greg, do you?
Yeah, I do. I could show it.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Dolores,
you don't
'cause
have you don't have to show it. I was just asking
Yeah,
because
we
that's
do.
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
proper
Okay.
procedure,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We have
Yes.
we have the right
Thank
paperwork
you.
for it. We have
Yes.
perused the paperwork and we have found it in order.
I
That's
love
fine.
filling out forms, so I can fill out the forms. Yeah.
Okay, no, you have
She
already,
loves filling out forms. Somebody
you have
grab her.
already filled out the form. And submitted the
right.
form. You have done that. Yes.
Next
Can I ask
agenda.
the question?
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
Once the year is up and you take the banner down, would you put it someplace or give it to the people that donated for it? What are you
Oh.
gonna do with the banner?
Yeah, I haven't thought about that. I guess we could offer it back if it's still in good condition, or yeah.
Renew it.
Okay.
We haven't thought about that yet, but that's a good question. Good thing to think about.
Or you
That's
can
a
be
good
like the
question.
Lakers and retire it to a space on the campus
And your
try to get-
auditorium.
and try to get people to update it for the next year. Think about it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah.
Okay.
I
All
would really
right.
love to invite you all to our campus. It's just a charming school, and especially, you know, they talk
Yes.
about schools not having green space in this part of town, but it's just lovely. So
I grew up in this area, and there used to be a home there, and I was always intrigued by that hill. And when they put the school there, I've always been curious. So
Okay.
maybe.
Miss Lizzie
Thank
has a-
you, Helen. Thank you very
yeah, sure.
much.
And you know that this house that used to be there, the retaining wall in the front is the last remaining part of that house left. So
Oh,
that's kind of
all right.
interesting. All right. Well, thank you so much
Um,
for having me.
Okay. Miss
Yes, thank
Miss
you.
Helen, the next thing
Um,
is that I'll let you know when the governing board meets, and you just will present the same thing again.
yes, okay.
Basically say the same thing. Okay.
But we do still have two hands. We have Lizzie and we have Laura. Lizzie first.
Yes. Hi, Helen. Thank you so much. That is a wonderful initiative. Would you please include your information in the chat?
Okay.
Because I'm thinking of a couple of organizations that might be interested in
Oh, wonderful. Thank you
getting
so
banners
much.
as well. And just there's a sad story to that house. That house was demolished, I think, overnight. There's a
Hmm,
whole story about it, but anyway,
hmm.
just to add some facts.
Thank you, Lizzie. I'll talk to you about that someday because,
Yes. Yes.
you know, I mean, it was there and then it was gone. And, you know, I was still
Yeah.
kind of young and didn't care. But of course, now I look at it differently. Laura, welcome, and you're muted.
Yeah, yes, and I'm on video too. So a little more about the house. It was a child's mansion, actually, and its demolition by LAUSD, unfortunately, after promising to keep it,
Oh,
was the start of the historic preservation movement in the whole West Adams area. I want to say 76, so a little before I was here, but it was there were protesters, and it was a big deal. In part because of a promise not to demolish it, and then suddenly it was demolished. So, and it was sat on 7 acres, and it abutted the dairy farm that if you drive down Arlington, you see the little Victorian house on the corner of Arlington and Montclair. That was 20-acre dairy farm, and they kind of butted up to the mansion, but they didn't talk to each other. The
wow.
farmer and the wealthy guys. So anyway, that's all.
All right, guys, we're going to move
Historical
on.
comment.
Thank you. I'm going to have to talk to each of you sidebar, find out about my own neighborhood. So this is the training report that we have, and I have personally sent emails and with a little highlight of the line for Raheem, who's got coming up 10/1. Carlos is further out in December. Look at that. Everybody else is good. Look at Michael Kimbrough. Woohoo! 8/31/24 for his ethics training. It has been completed, and he's 2 years out.
I literally created, opened up, make my training available earlier tonight. So I'm working on it, okay. I have 2 trainings that I have to renew. So
yes,
it's in
and then we have our own president that was coming up here for ethics training. Well, guess what? He sent me his certificates today. He has completed his training. Amen. And then Lizzie, like she said, she's got ethics and funding. So
Yes.
those are the things we have upcoming
will
for
be
training. And okay, close the door. And the other thing is attendance. And I've already announced that Sarah Long Henry is vacationing with hubby. And I haven't heard from Grace. Did you hear anything from Grace, Greg?
Negative.
But I know the last few meetings she was out of country. Do we know if she's still out of country?
She's back.
She's back.
Okay, all right, then tonight is just an absence. Okay. But our attendance, even for the governing board, is good. Of course, our, one problem, Lolita has since resigned, but everybody else is good. Everybody else is good, which is wonderful. And one other thing, Greg, and I keep forgetting to ask you, I need an email for Ivory Bordenave Priestley. And it was so nice when you sent Noriel like the link and the information for
Yes.
training, and we need to
Yes.
do the same thing for Ivy.
I did.
Okay.
I did, and I'll send you her email.
Okay. All righty. The next thing we have is the standing rule update by Laura. And welcome, Laura. Unmute yourself.
Yeah, so I believe I need to have some hosting to share the screen, unless Greg, you want to do it.
No, you could. That way you can scroll when you want. Okay. All right, there you go. You good?
So, oh, there I am. Okay. So now I was thinking you had decided you were going to do it.
No. I'll give you.
Yeah, let me look now. Let me look for it. Okay. So I am sharing the recent draft, not the 2015 version. If you can let me know when you guys see this. And of course, I seem to be in the middle.
Yeah, I see it.
Yes, so now I'm going up to the top. So in broad brushstrokes, we have standing rules that date back to the year 2015. So there's between the fact that we operate a little differently and maybe equally important, the city has adopted all kinds of things between 2015 and now being a year and a half ago when we started this, or almost 2 years ago, I think. We meaning the prior executive officers decided that it was time to update our standing rules. So at the time, Nancy Cruz was the vice president. She's also a lawyer, and this was basically primarily her project with help from everybody else on executive committee. So she did a couple of things. One is to actually update things that we do differently. Two is to bring in the new requirements. And importantly, three, she reorganized the order of things and created this item one, the purpose. Because we didn't even have in the old standing rules, we just started, here's one, here's another. I mean, the rules, we just started listing rules without saying why. So the first change from 2015 till now is that number one, the purpose of the standing rules is obviously to set forth the rules that we operate under and how we administer our respective affairs. I should say that the other interesting thing about standing rules versus the bylaws is that the bylaws cannot be redone except by when we follow certain rules that the city provides, and more importantly, a time frame. Our standing rules are meant to be fluid. So if we need to make another change, we don't need to wait 7 years for the next time. We could change these in 7 months if we wanted to. So anyway, so first thing is the purpose. And the second thing is that we moved from below was the Code of Civility, and it's also updated to reflect the current citywide Department of Neighborhood Empowerment Board of Neighborhood Commissioners Code of Civility. And I'm sorry, I didn't prepare a presentation side by side, so I'm not 100% sure that this is very different or even any different than before, but we had it buried before, and now it's number 2. So, so essentially it says we're going to conduct ourselves professionally and civil at all times, both at board meetings and when representing UNNC. And that even in the face of disagreement or differences of opinion, esteem and deference for colleagues in the public will be demonstrated. So, you know, these are just pretty obvious. Code of conduct. We want a safe meeting environment. We, as board members, commit to communicate our ideas and points of view clearly, and importantly, allow others to do the same without interruption. So we agree to actually listen to everybody else and practice the art. Oh, I'm reading. Practice the art of being able to disagree without being disagreeable. And again, I'm pretty sure that most of this is in the prior standing rules. And I'm moving to the next page. So H, if a board member represents that his, her, their personal interests, if a board member represents his, her, their personal interests before the community interests, he, she, they will publicly disclose these differences and recuse from voting on such matter. And we write, ask for advice from the office of the city attorney if there's any doubt. Now, at the moment, the city attorney is saying, you always have to ask the office of the city attorney if you want to recuse. So I would go with the city attorney advice, but I wouldn't necessarily change our standing rules to reflect it, because a year from now, there could be a different city attorney who has a different point of view. And we commit to good faith efforts to resolve our grievances. And we will make the best possible effort to understand the issues before we vote. And this is hard because people like, number K, people like to say, oh yeah, why don't you talk to Lizzie and here's how. But technically we should not be giving out anybody's context, but rather personal context, but rather either give out, I'm sorry to use Lizzie, but Lizzie or anyone else's UNNC email, or contact the board member and say, can I give out your phone number? Number 3 is parliamentarian. We've had this in for some time, one or more parliamentarians, and then shall be agreed upon by the governing board, and then list the duties of the parliamentarian. My only question on this, do we want to keep the word shall? Because that means we're violating it every month because we don't have a parliamentarian, and we've had a hard time retaining parliamentarians. Or do we want to change that to should be agreed upon? But the point is, we should have a parliamentarian, whether or not we shall have one. And this is what their job is. And the job is primarily to help ensure that meetings don't get bogged down, keeping adherence to time for speakers and agenda items, and also essentially being familiar with our bylaws, standing rules, and Robert's Rules of Order where applicable. So conduct of meetings is number 4. Again, this language is from 2015. In the 2015 version, this is the first section. We've just moved it down to make it more logical order. So essentially, this lays out in an ideal world how we do our governing board meetings, i.e., presenters for each item shall have 5 minutes to present, followed by a maximum of 5 minutes of questions and answers from people in the audience, after which time the chair of the meeting shall only accept a motion on the issue, a motion to refer the item back to committee, a motion to postpone, or a motion to modify the debate rules to extend the discussion time, which requires 2/3 vote of the board. Once a motion is introduced, the regular Robert rules regarding debate shall apply. And then we also have in our standing rules that each member shall be limited to 2 speeches of 2 minutes each per day on each item under debate. And next part is those Robert's rules. Number D is important. When a board member has the floor and asks a question, the chair may recognize a person to answer the question, and that person can not only respond, the response time does not count against their own personal speaking limits. And E and F, any board member may make a motion to extend the amount of time for a presentation or to alter the time limits for debate at any time prior to the start of a presentation or item. It is recommended that such motions be made as part of amending and approving the agenda. So this was written before AB 361 was adopted by Sacramento, and that has a time limit. That AB 361 has its own time limit. It's not permanent, but if you remember AB 361, one of its aspects is not to have times on the agenda. So I don't know if we want to loosen this language or just leave it in, noting that 361 is going to go away at some point anyway. So that's just an open question. And then on motions, for motions that have been recommended by committee, a board member who is a member of the committee, which has heard the issue and which has voted on a recommendation, will make the first motion on the issue. But the motion requires a second from another board member. Purpose of this is to not have had some presentation and then suddenly somebody makes a motion that is different than the motion the committee was planning to present. And we've been following this rule for quite some time. Okay, training. What we changed was we loosened the language. Or broadened the language, I should say. So board members shall complete all trainings required by DUN, including ethics and including funding, within 2 months of being seated on the UNNC governing board. This is to be, now we're compliant with the bylaws. That's the same thing we adopted with the bylaws. In the prior version, we listed all the trainings. Now we're just saying whatever the trainings are, they're required. In our standing rules number 6, this is where we say that a resident region representative, somebody from areas 1 through 6, if they're representing the region, they must attend neighborhood meetings, neighborhood block club associations, and or UNNC sponsored events from time to time. They should also be attending a committee meeting when an issue pertaining to their region is up for review. And they should also be reaching out to their regional stakeholders to notify them of the issue and the committee meeting. So that's asking a lot of our area reps, but we do ask them that. For at-large board members, number 7, each at-large board member should be choosing one standing committee at least to become a participating regular attendee of. And it's really an open what pertains to their interests. And again, at-large board members should be taking part in UNNC sponsored events. In removal of board members, in addition to the UNNC bylaws, stipulating how and when or why board members should be removed, we could, be prompted to remove a board member for failure to take part in events, failure to sit on a committee, failure to do, for a regional rep, failure to do the outreach to their region. That's what this is about. But it's not a guarantee removal. It's a come to the executive committee, and if warranted, the executive committee, and again, here we have a shall, bring a recommendation for dismissal to the governing board for a vote. And so that shall could be may, M-A-Y, and but this is what Nancy wrote. And which, well, this is what the prior executive committee approved all of these shells, all of this language as a recommendation previously to the board at the end of June of 2021. But we ran out of time when we had this scheduled on the agenda for adoption, but we ran out of time. Grace is here. I'm clicking in mid, sorry. So a standing committee, this is how we operate. Standing committee is any committee that meets on a regularly scheduled basis, which isn't necessarily monthly, could quarterly, to work on issues and projects identified by its chairs, raised by its members and stakeholders, referred by this executive committee or by the governing board, or special projects that the committee itself identifies as falling under its mission. So the big change from 2015 is instead of listing as a mandatory standing committee, all of the standing committees, we only listed executive, because you guys, officers have to meet, outreach, because that's a requirement from Dunn, and planning and zoning committee, because we've established that that's a very important one, and we've been meeting twice a month since the beginning. The executive committee itself is a specified appointed body. All other standing committees, and this language you see here is the same thing you see on our agendas, operate under the Ralph M. Brown Act in accordance with boring section 54952B, point 2C, and point 2C6, which essentially says our committees are themselves legislative bodies. And that means as many or as few board members who wish to be in attendance can be in attendance without regard to the limit of 6 board members maximum. So they're standing legislative bodies. So we have that in the standing rules and also on our agenda. So this paragraph has been added to comply with the Brown Act. And then what we did with all of the other standing committees that we've had recently or have now is list them, but not require that they be there. And so we can create others. We don't have to anymore have these. So that's a change. The chairs of the standing committees, this did not change. Any interested stakeholder or governing board member can be appointed to a 1-year term. And the board will appoint chairs by the second meeting of the fiscal year. And I think we've interpreted that lately to mean for committees that don't have a chair. And then the committee chairs will endeavor to take minutes or recordings, and we added the word recordings, of their respective meetings and provide them upon request. The chairs of each standing committee will maintain email lists for the committee, meaning people that they know participate a lot, and also records of their agendas. Every few months, each co-chair, chair of a standing committee shall provide updates to the governing board of their committee activities. And then the rest of this basically says the committees can't just start sending material out, especially outreach material, but any material out without approval from 2 officers. So we don't have a lot, the committees don't have a lot of freedom to just create flyers and postcards and that kind of thing. They need to go through executive, but I think they can do it by email. They don't necessarily have to do it. This doesn't say they have to come to a meeting. And if the chairs are responsible, because the regional reps can't possibly read their minds. So the chairs are responsible to give those area reps notice if they need to come to a meeting. So in the past, this has been very difficult, but that's an important note. And the agendas of the governing board and standing committee will be submitted to the city and posted on the UNNC website as required by the Brown Act. The executive committee and chairs, co-chairs work together to ensure that the agendas of the standing committees are timely posted. Governing board. So this isn't any different. So, but the governing board of agenda is 5 days before. We cut that very close. Standing committees, we definitely cut that close. We never have that 5 days before. Committee membership, only the chairs and co-chairs are appointed members of the standing committees. Any stakeholder who attends a standing committee meeting, other than a meeting of the executive committee, has the right to participate, make motions, and vote at that meeting. I will say, not here, but at planning and zoning, John has begun to describe what is a stakeholder, since the city council itself has now specifically defined community interest stakeholders as someone who participates in an organization which itself is a valid stakeholder organization, meaning it has an address, bricks and mortar address within our boundaries, and that's a city council adopted definition. I don't think we need to put that in the standing rules because the stakeholders defined elsewhere. Rules for use of UNNC online accounts and the UNNC name. We should do this. This is not new information. This was in the 2015 standing rules, but as far as I know, neither the president nor the secretary at this time has the login information for all of our online accounts. They should, but we don't. As of October, that will be required because of the new Bonk adopted digital social media policy anyway, but that's also good practice that the president and the secretary would have that information. The communications committee or the president secretary, if there's not a communications committee, but we do have it, shall be responsible for maintaining our social media accounts. And again, provide and maintain login information. The login information should be in the hands of the president and secretary along with communications and anyone else who is authorized. The governing board shall endeavor to establish a social media policy in accordance with applicable city requirements. Remember, this was written before the final digital social media policy was adopted. So we're going to have to endeavor very quickly to meet that. But this is all we need to say, because again, that's going to be a 2-year experiment. It may go away. As a matter of best practice, board member is encouraged to not respond directly on any social media platform, be it his, hers, theirs, personal social media site, or an online service or platform that is open to the public regarding any matter that is within the jurisdiction of UNNC and may be acted upon by the UNNC governing board, except to answer basic questions or provide information about upcoming meetings. Board members are encouraged not to be very careful not to discuss matters on social media that may influence a future board vote or may be seen as a discussion among board members outside of scheduled public meetings. So by and large, that's already, this may have been finesse language from Nancy, but that was already in 2015. And so, of course, this is becoming a bigger thing than it was in 2015, but because there are so many platforms. I mean, for example, Urbanize LA, where they seem to have next day stories about land use applications that were turned in the day before, and people then comment. And so we need to be careful, all of us need to be careful not to comment on a project that's in Urbanize if it's going to be a project here and come before us. So, and this is becoming, there's many different platforms, but that's what that's about. And then we added number 14, virtual meetings. I don't know if we need to keep referencing the COVID-19 emergency, but all UNNC virtual meetings will be set up utilizing the protocol set by Dunn as guidance, provided that the executive committee has approved the use of meeting format and disabled private chat. So this whole paragraph is obviously brand new, not brand new today, but brand new when Nancy wrote it. Future virtual meetings will be in accordance to state regulations regarding open public meetings of government officials as they may apply to neighborhood councils and with the guidance of Dunn. Okay, I'm done. And I see Greg has his hand up. I don't know if you've had your hand up the whole time because I've been reading and not looking, Greg, sorry. And
Thank
Paula
you,
has his
Lori.
hand up. Should I,
Thank you.
should I be stopping the share or leaving it up?
I think you can stop it. Greg, you're muted.
I think you could stop also. Thank you,
Did
Laura.
you?
Thank you for your presentation. Madam Vice President, and thank you, Laura, for your presentation. My concern about this is what maybe two or three things. Well-
Greg, I'm having trouble hearing you. I'm sorry. And I can't turn
Okay.
mine up anymore.
Okay, how's that? That better?
Yes, thank you.
All right. So one, I encourage all members, but specifically the executive board members to read this and to almost have some portions of it memorized. And then I think that part of our practice is that we periodically need to remind people in the meeting, perhaps even at the start of the meeting, just little tidbits of this. Like, for example, it's like each presenter has 5 minutes, and that then there'll be a 5-minute question and answering session, or that if you speak on something, you can only speak twice. That way, if we make it a habit of just reviewing portions of this from time to time, people will have it in mind and not feel like they have to ingest it, or feel that when we remind them that we're not operating by our own rules, that no one feels that we're picking on them. But so one of the things that I want us to consider is just one, again, just recapping, executive board members, please review this and have it in mind. And then also when we do the agenda, perhaps even during the opening, just remind people of just different aspects of it, so that, over time, we're just reminded or trained about it. So those are my thoughts on it. But thank you for the recap. And that's
Greg,
yes.
I have a question for you. You said executive board. Did you mean governing board, or did you mean executive board?
Well, particularly, I want the executive board members to be
Okay.
like the experts in it.
Okay,
Like we should be able to say chapter and verse, like the preacher,
thank you.
and the lawyer.
Paul.
Like John 3:16.
Yeah, John 3:16, there you go. There you go.
So
Yeah.
anyway, a little bit of interjection of
Yes,
religion
yes.
here. But so Mike, I question, so this next step will be then to submit this to the board for review or the governing board, and then for approval. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then
Yes.
so is the intention that version that's going to be presented for review will be a red line version, so we can more easily discern what the changes are?
Well, here's my problem, and it is that this is Nancy's document, so I don't have her red line version to create a red line version. It'd be a complete do-over since it's a completely reorganized
very tiny.
document.
Mm.
Awesome.
In other words, this isn't just a document that's in the same order with new words. This was a flip, the order of things is different. So what I had posted in the package last month and in tonight's meeting was just both versions. So I don't know that, it's a good idea. I just don't know how quite to create a red line version.
Or at
From a-
least to
from a
underline
Yeah.
the words that are being changed, and then, because it's heavy reading.
I can certainly highlight the sections that I know are brand new.
Okay.
But it's a side-by-side comparison, but again, it's a different order as well. That's my issue. Usually red line versions start with a document and then you redline it, and I'm sure Nancy has one like that.
Just something to facilitate everyone's review of the changes more than
Right.
anything.
Well, I can try. I
Mhm.
can try
That's
seeing
my
if Nancy would sound it.
Greg,
Okay, I'm gonna practice on this topic. This is my second time speaking, so I can't speak on this after this, right? Okay, my concern about that, Paul, is that I agree with you, and that's the way it should work. But I don't think that we have enough memory of what we had before to ingest the old version and the new version. So I think that just a good presentation of the current version is about all that we can handle with our very long meetings that we have. Because we do need, I think we do need to go over each section again. So I agree with you, that's what it should be, but I don't think we will be mentally capable of.
And I'm agreeing with Greg in that, you know, let's look at this this new practice. This is how we're going to go forward. There have been some changes, but I don't really honestly want to take the time to look at the old and look at the new. Just show me the new. And does it make sense? And is it in line with protocol and rules and regulations? And if yes, then let's go on.
And what about Laura just highlights what she knows for sure is changed.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's easy for me to highlight what I know to be important changes.
Okay.
It's just not so easy for me to figure out how to do a red line version when it's also out of order. I mean, that's to me, I can't figure out how to backwards create a red line version.
Would that work,
I mean, I
Paul?
think that's fine. That's
Yeah,
fine, just to
yeah.
highlight the major changes.
Yeah.
And so we can, at least when you're discussing, we can sort of key in on that. And
Right.
yeah.
Okay, sweet.
Right.
And I do, by the way, I do realize that must have been far longer than 5 minutes.
Yes. So, yes, and Grace has her hand up.
Thank you.
Hi, Grace.
Hi. You know, I was going to suggest we were going to open up our meeting at, half an hour to an hour earlier for people who want to do presentations before we start the board meeting. So what if we gave, half an hour start prior to the beginning of our board meeting to sort of go over this for anybody who really wants it, so that there's an opportunity, and yet it doesn't really gobble up our limited board meeting time.
That is good. But for October, we already have a presentation that's going to start at 6. And so then we also have a guest speaker that's going to speak, which we're told that the guest speaker likes to talk a lot. And the guest speaker is bringing a guest. So I'm hard pressed for.
Understood.
Right.
No problem.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's keep moving. Dolores is next with wildlife specialist presentation.
Okay.
Hey, can I just ask one more question? I'm so sorry. There were a couple of shalls in this document. Do we want to keep them as shalls? I mean, shall have parliamentarian, and then there was another shall. Do we want to keep that, or do we want to just change it to should? So
I'm
and
all
do you
in
want
for
to do
should.
this?
I'm voting for should.
Good, sounds good to me.
All right. And the other one was the removal of board members for not actively participating, and that was a board member in question shall be called before the executive committee. Should we change that to may be called? I mean, I don't really care. That was the other weird shall.
I'll have to look at that one again, because I know if that was attendance thing, we went.
That was, yeah, that's on page 3, 8 removal of board member. Okay, we can do that later, but I'll change the one thing already. I'm done.
Okay.
And then do we need an action? Sorry, to move this to the governing board?
Oh, I thought,
yes,
I thought we all agreed.
Well, we need to formally do an action. We do.
Okay.
I make the motion that we move this item for review and a vote,
Approval.
possible vote by the governing board.
All right.
Okay.
I second, if we second, and I agree.
I agree.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, Dolores, unmute yourself. Hurry up.
Well, I need to find her document.
For anybody else says anything else.
Okay.
So let me find the document.
For the last few months, and more recently, the last couple of weeks, on Facebook and on Nextdoor, there have been coyote sightings. And
Oh, boy.
a lot of discussion surrounding that. And so I thought it would be a good idea to do a presentation on the do's and don'ts of encountering wildlife, especially coyotes. And I've been in touch with the California State Wildlife Fish and Game people, and then they referred me to regional, and then they referred me to Animal Services, which I didn't know this, had a wildlife specialist in every district. And so I've been in touch with Officer Westfall, and she has agreed to do a presentation before our October meeting at 6 o'clock. She will go about 30 minutes for a presentation, and then we have a Q&A. I'm also I contacted Captain Lopez of Southwest Division to have an officer on hand to answer questions, because the 911, the police are the first responders, and then also have a representative from a CD10 office, because there may be questions about, well, what is the city doing about these coyotes?
Mm-hmm.
So, and the other thing I found out from the wildlife specialist is that that we just have to be careful about how we put this out. And I told them that we would just be putting it out to our general stakeholders, because in public meetings, of course, everybody wants to join in, especially you might have animal activists that want to go out there and feed the poor little coyotes like they're doing these feral cats. And then you got those other folks that are scared to death of the animals and want to get their guns and shoot them. So I just thought that we should be proactive, since this is a hot button issue in with our stakeholders in our footprint, and do a presentation. So Officer Westfall is going to do the presentation, and this is what Greg has on the screen is a flyer. It's a draft. I've already sent it over to Gabby and Raheem, and they're going to pretty it up and put it on the new logo stuff and all that. And as soon as I get the approved flyer for them, I'll get it out to all of the board members, and you can help get the word out in your area that you're representing. And of course, Lizzie would be doing the outreach on the Facebook, and I'll help get the word out through my venues as well. But I just thought that this would be a good thing for us to do in keeping with our representation of our stakeholders.
Thank you so much, Dolores. It's just great. And I see, I hear about them. And just to, it's like, yeah, we need to officially address this. And I thank you that it's us. Lizzie, you're muted.
Yes. I included in the chat, there was today precisely, there was an article about the coyotes in the
Coyotes.
Times. Coyotes.
Coyotes.
That is one word that I cannot say.
Well, we know what you're talking about.
Los coyotes. Okay.
Yes.
So it's in the chat. All right. Thanks.
Thank you. I was telling Greg, we feed, speaking of cats, we have 3 stray cats that we feed, and I didn't run out and get the bowl. And when I looked on my camera the next morning, I saw a coyote on my porch, and I was really like, whoa, okay. So yeah, I need that training. Greg?
My concern, a reminder to everyone that when we advertise this is asking each of us to come to the meeting an hour early. We're going to put the word out to our stakeholders, to the members of our community, to our block clubs, etc. But we're looking for the board to be present in the meeting, to represent.
All righty, Laura.
No, I'm so aware that we don't have to come an hour early, but it is absolutely perfect that we're taking this proactive approach. Absolutely. And I hope they'll address, okay, well, first of all, several of us, maybe a lot of people, feed the possums. And I mean, overtly feed the possums very special fruits and sometimes hard-boiled eggs. So that's another kind of wildlife, but they're good wildlife. And then there's the raccoons. So, I mean, it's not just the coyotes, but I've been seeing on Nextdoor now people complaining more in View Park, Lamert Park, that people are feeding stray cats, and that is what's attracting the coyotes. So that, to be sure that that's addressed, because I think it's not necessarily a false statement, because sadly cats are lunch for coyotes. I grew up in Studio City, up in the hills, and absolutely when we would drive around later at night, there'd be whole packs of coyotes in the middle, running in the middle of the streets. But this was, 40 years ago and in the hills. So I think the new news is in our urban flats, but that's another thing I would hope they can address. Is it because of the drought? Is it because there's more of them? I mean, why are we suddenly seeing all these coyotes here? Because I for sure grew up around them.
Those are the questions that are going to be asked, answered.
Thank you. Teresa, it's your turn.
Yep. Thank you very much, Paula. So I'll just give you guys a quick rundown. I think the overall event was a success. We didn't have as many people. Thank you, Paula. As many people as we thought. That's kind of for a couple of reasons. I think we were very concerned we may have too many people, too many attendees and run out of food. But it turned out the amount of people there, it was a perfect grouping. It was a little more intimate, and it provided an opportunity for people to talk to the officials that were there. State Senator Kamlager was there. Our new council member, Heather Hutt, Herb Wesson, Sandra Olimdo from the mayor's office, representatives from Isaac Bryan, Holly Mitchell, and various staff from CD10, including the planning deputy, were there. We reached out to Captain Lopez, who had provided, because we were uncertain how many people were going to be in attendance, we thought it might be a good idea to just have a patrol car come by, but he actually provided Lieutenant Griffith, who is in charge of all of the detectives. He was there the entire time, and there was a patrol car also there. The event grew over time. Dolores and I both have the let go big or go home kind of view of things. So it grew over time, and that also included a complexness to it that we hadn't anticipated. But all of that set aside, I think the main thing that, if there was anything that tripped us up, was the getting all those forms in on time or in early, and that was a breakdown on my part. So I think we discussed before, because the committee, we did not have a funding person on our committee. It may have been helpful if we had had somebody to kind of help us make sure we had all the appropriate forms submitted on time. The insurance policy is I guess, a big issue. I was under the understanding that would just take a day and just get a policy. But as Greg and I found out, and thank you, Greg, for coming in the end and helping us with this, when we finally had a Google Meet with Shauna, we got a better understanding of the insurance, not just having our own insurance policy, but the venue having an insurance policy, the venue putting the city on their insurance policy, things that were unclear all along the way. But we were able to work all of that out. And as I said, Greg has experience with this, so he's able to step up and help us at the last minute get all this stuff kind of through the city clerk's office. Another recommendation, besides, we are all coming out of pandemic, and this was like a first real event, that in the future, I strenuously recommend that we have more than one person authorized to use a credit card. I also want to say that having a vision on, we had some ideas of things we wanted to accomplish with this anniversary celebration. And as it grew, I think there were people who couldn't appreciate that and tried to curtail the enthusiasm that Dolores and I had. And that became uncomfortable and increasingly frustrating for me. But overall, I think the event was a success. Certainly the honorees, the founding members and the past presidents were recognized for their outstanding work over the years. Having State Senator Kamlager come in and actually present her certificate, receiving a certificate, Dolores can probably go into some more on this, from a congressional certificate from Karen Bass, recognizing the work of the UNNC, was exceptional and very exciting for that to come to be there. Councilmember Hutt did a good job. It was great. Also, just to be quite frank, it was a smaller group. I think if we had 200 or 300 people there, it may have been a little overwhelming for her as her first real event as our council member. But the size of the event allowed people to talk to her and to talk to Herb Wesson and talk to the other city officials that were there. So that was pretty good. The committee, we have discussed having 2 other events. One, I just don't think that the board has the audacity to deal with gentrification and a town hall and a panel discussion. So I'm going to kind of let that one go. The other event is to have a resource fair on Earth Day and bring in all the city agencies and have a fruit tree giveaway. And I really think that Dolores is next up to kind of lead that. And and I talked to Sandra Pruitt. I think she said what? She had no idea how great this was going to be. And I feel she's very interested in continuing to work to make this second event very successful. Now that she understands, everybody sees our standard is up here when we do something. People want to be a part of that. So that's about it. Dolores, why don't you share?
Yeah, we got Greg is showing some of the resolutions and certificates that we got from US Senator Alex Padilla. She mentioned Congresswoman Karen Bass, Holly Mitchell, Senator Kamlager. We got one from Dunn, from Raquel Beltram, the general manager over Dunn. She came and spoke, and she did a recognition. We had invited Assemblyman Bryant, but he had a family emergency at the last minute, and he couldn't make it, but he did send one of his staff persons who gave his condolences. I have to say, our president came suited and booted too. And we had him on the stage to receive all the certificates and recognitions from the legislators, and most of the photographs were with him. As a matter of fact, I thought I was going to have to get a hook and yank him off the stage. But I also want to thank the finance crew, our executive committee that stepped up and helped us at the last minute and worked with Shauna and the city to help us make this event a success, because it was nail biting time, and we didn't know from one day to the next whether we just worked on the premise and had put it up to God that we were going to have this thing, and we were counting on you guys to come through and make it happen, and you did. And I just want to just say I am so grateful and so thankful for the extra effort and work that you guys put into helping us make this a success.
All right, thank you so much. It was fun. And Laura has her hand up.
Yeah, yes, and I want to say, oh, go ahead. I want to say, really, I am so grateful. This was just such a wonderful event. And You may not have gotten huge attendance, but you got all the presidents there. And that was so wonderful
It
to
really
have
was.
Odell there, to have Guy there. I mean, I expected
Stern.
Jeff, obviously. I didn't expect Joff, but I'm glad he was there. But it was like so good to really dig deep and get everybody there. And it was wonderful for us to be able to talk to each other because, you know, we all knew each other. I don't want this to be a damper because there's a way that this can work simultaneously, but Earth Day is election day for UNNC. So we had already sort of started talking at elections committee about having the tree giveaway and making an event in conjunction with elections. So whether we call it an election event or an anniversary event or just an event for Earth Day, that, you know, so, but, you know, but we can't have an event over there that's separate from the election over here. It has to be wherever the election is, will need to be in the same location, I think, or generally same location. But that also means you have more helping hands because the election committee, but Lizzie already said she's not helping. So this, on our committee election, she already said that I'm the one who has to help on that Earth Day event, just by the way, Dora. So not me.
Thank you, Laura.
Sorry, if I could just raise my hand here.
Yeah.
Thank you, Paula. Well, first of all, we can have the event whenever we want because we can go through Recreation and Park, and I've already talked to Donna Jones, so we can do it at Benny Potter Park. And then people can just walk over to Washington Irving Library and vote. And then I think, and I'll leave it up to Dolores, we experience when everybody on the committee does not share the vision, it makes it very difficult. So I think, and maybe Dolores can, you know, she's going to lead this second event.
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay. Well, it's important that the people on the committee are working with the committee and not against the committee. But if you're not leading it and I'm not, then maybe it's not happening, Dolores.
Well, I can work with whomever is going to head that up, but
You don't want your name out front.
Yeah.
That was too stressful.
Lizzie?
Yes, thank you, Paula. So as being part of the committee, yes, we realized it became so overwhelming because of all the logistics. And I expressed that at some point that, but anyway, I was personally so honored and I got emotional to see the founding members, see Mr. Odell. I mean, to see him come to the meeting, I mean, to the celebration,
Right.
it was such an honor, such an honor. And I'm thinking maybe I would like, especially, you know, because it's been so long and some people are not in their best health. I would really like to maybe feature them in a note, in a special note in our website, you know, as a news item. So at some point I would like to do that. And thank you again. It was a great event. It was a lot of hard work. And we had our differences, yes, but we got through it. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
I think the founding members and presidents were really appreciative and excited about the whole affair.
I think so too.
Yeah. You're muted, Greg.
Yeah.
I have my hand up.
Paul?
Yeah,
Oh,
hey, real
wow.
quick, just congratulations to everyone on hard work and a successful event. I'm curious, does anyone know if any of the other neighborhood councils, I mean, they're all the same age, right? We all organize roughly the same time period. So did any of the other neighborhood councils have anniversary events? Do we know?
There was one lady that was an event from Empowers someplace. That came to me and said she wanted to talk to me sidebar about our event because she wanted to bring that to their board so they could do the same thing. She thought that what we did was great.
Mhm.
Cool.
Right. Mid-City Neighborhood Council did something very different. They did a banner, an artist created banner program of some sort, but it was more like artwork banners, not make banners. And I don't know the details, but they did it last spring.
All right.
So I heard from Raquel Beltran, the general manager for Dunn, that we were the first in-person 20th anniversary celebration
Yay.
because the
Yeah.
other NCs that had their 20th anniversary during COVID
Yeah,
couldn't get together. So we're the first of the 20th.
that was
She-
wonderful. I think that was part of the
That's great.
excitement too. We saw one another, let alone, the people from the past. So we're going to keep on moving. Thank you again, Anniversary Committee. We really, really do appreciate you. And sorry that, there's always that background, whatever, but that's how we get diamonds. We have to go through the pressure. Okay, a little wisdom from Paula. Co-naming.
One last thing.
Yes.
Last thing.
What if I say no?
We need to thank you, James Masonette, because he was there working very hard.
Oh, yes. Oh, my goodness.
And
Yeah,
Yep.
he's almost a part of the committee. I mean, I
Yeah.
recognize
because I
him.
have not heard his name.
Yeah.
I'll let him know.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I'll
Yes.
let him know.
Working
Good,
hard.
Teresa.
Oh, yeah.
Very appreciated.
Very,
Those
very
working
wonderful. And he was busy. Oh boy, oh boy.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I was handing him stuff and saying, James, are you taking care of this? Oh boy. Co-naming Crenshaw Boulevard with Malcolm X. Are we going to be able to speak on that, Greg?
To me,
At 8:41.
as I recall, it was a letter that we had
Yeah.
already approved.
Right.
Right.
Right. It
Lauren?
was supposed to be that Sarah was just gonna do some editing and then you
Right.
guys would vote by email.
Okay.
But I don't know if she did do. I mean,
I
it's
know.
up in the it's been up in the digital ether thing. But
Okay.
We'll check. to
that's
see
how
if
we
I
left
can-
it at governing board. That's how we left it, that
I
Sarah
will
would
check to see if
do
we
some
have it.
editing.
All right. Thank you for that reminder. All right. Moving on, Greg. Do you have any more to say about committees?
Well, I've already shared about how I want the committees to share. So are there any committees that have anything that they want to bring to the executive board? If not, so we already shared the schedule and all that stuff.
Probably have to email that as well.
Right. Okay, so then
Okay.
let's go on to old business and then we will talk about some committee stuff under that one.
I apologize.
Grace?
Right
Right.
about the committees, the emergency public safety and emergency planning committee at our last meeting last Monday was that the CERT training that Grayburn is holding October 25th at 8 a.m. If anybody would like to join, we are all welcome to join that CERT mini CERT.
Okay.
October 20. I want to say it's October 22nd, Saturday.
Okay. So, Teresa.
So that's the
thank
end
you.
of October.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Teresa.
Thank you. Are we on old business?
Well, I'm gonna just go down the list of committees. 'cause
Okay, no, I'm gonna wait for old business. Sorry.
Okay, sounds good. So for the outreach committee, we had a request to see if we were going to be present at a Taste of Soul. So Lizzie, what are your thoughts about that?
Yes, it was addressed at the outreach meeting that we will be in attendance. So I will be preparing a list of, the shifts
Assignments, okay. Okay,
as always.
okay.
And we
Remind us
also,
of the date of that event?
it's October the 15th, if I'm not mistaken. It's
Okay,
on a
that's correct.
Saturday.
That's correct.
And we just have to be, we have our initial set of promotional items, but we are going to have to be very judicious at this event because we get thousands of attendees. So
Mhm.
we will not have them in full display. We will have to be very judicious. Yeah. And we also at the last outreach meeting, we started the conversation on our goals for this year.
Good, thank you.
So that should be there should be a draft next month on that.
Okay, all right. Laura, I think you're up on committee information.
I was just gonna follow on with Lizzie. On October 15th, along with the Taste of Soul, I think is when we have the composting with Garden School Foundation. So again, assuming that's the right date, we once again will have a little bit of division of labor. So I had told her I could help her set up, but I'm not, I'm not usually pretty good for being at the booth for a long time, but I don't think I will be able to be. So it's these, now that we're back in events, we're doing too many, but it's a good thing. And planning and zoning, the only thing I would be reporting, it'll be an after the fact on October 6th, but John and I are doing at the Congress of Neighborhoods this Saturday, our UNNC Planning 101 presentation, but for everybody else. So it'll just be an announcement that we did do it at the governing board.
And could you remind us of the dates and time of the Congress of Neighborhoods?
Well, it's this Saturday,
Yeah.
and I should know this.
That's
Yeah.
okay. That I announced it, and I have a
Okay.
email, and I'm gonna send it out to everyone
Okay.
with the information.
Right, and I was planning with Greg we'll do a e-blast at least 24 hours after the one that went out today. So I will know that information before that goes out, obviously.
The Garden School event is at 10 a.m. on the 15th, Saturday, October 15th.
Okay.
Okay, well,
If that's the question.
they have a 3-hour community garden day, but 1 hour of it, probably 11, but I don't know. I have to confirm will be the composting. But yes, right in the middle of Taste of Soul.
Okay, all right, Dolores is up.
Yes, the first off, Lizzie, the LA Times article, it says you have to subscribe. Is there another way you can get that so I can read it?
Yes, I will try to get the copy and to do a copy and paste.
Okay, and then the second thing is, we're talking about committee. The CIS committee, are they going to do anything on that thing that's going on with city council on street takeovers?
Wait, that would be Taylor. The way we've been doing CIS is because no one wants to chair the CIS committee, is we've been shoving them at committees, to the committees. So that would either be public safety or it would be mobility and transportation, probably public safety. Or executive committee can initiate a CIS itself, or we can find someone who would agree to be chair of that committee.
A lot of orders.
I'm not holding my breath on that.
Why don't I talk to the public safety and then we will come up with an agreement of division of labor.
Grace.
Right. Well, no, but I will say it's been very effective to have the committees who have specialized interests also propose the community impact statements, because they have the knowledge to do it, to review them, within their thing.
Okay, let me make a note to self read that. Okay.
All right, do we have any other committee stuff, or are we, where are we?
Well, to Mr. Law's question or statement, yes, there will be something ready for the governing board for that CIS. Okay, I'm in. Got it. Okay, that's it, Ms. Paula.
All right, now we're on to old business, Teresa.
Thank you, Paula.
You're muted.
Thank you. I've been talking to Donna Jones, and we feel we could work together to co-chair the Recs and Parks. And I know I'm discussing it now because I know we're going, it's on, this has been ongoing and this is old business. So I would like to nominate me and Donna Jones to co-chair Recs and Parks. I will handle the technical part and the UNNC part and agenda and all of those things, but Donna will probably be the main person to lead the discussions and facilitate the meetings, also because we've done so much work, or we started doing a lot of work with CD10 to get the security lights and to get the cameras, and we worked to get all that stuff through Recs and Parks and through the city to get funds allocated for that. I think we make a good team, and so I'd like to ask the executive committee to approve that and move it forward to the governing board.
We approve. Yes.
All right, thank you very much.
All right. Any other old business? All righty. Well, thank you all for your time and attendance. Laura has
I'm
her
so
hand up.
sorry. Yeah,
Laura,
I'm so sorry.
I'm gonna talk to you later. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying the only other old business is, I referred to it earlier, but the new bonk required digital social media, whatever that is, policy. It's supposed to be in effect by October 4, but we don't have our governing board until October 6. And I'm not 100% sure what that means to be in effect, but I think it includes that we have to provide the information to Dunn as to who the specific communications administrator is and the email address for same. I'm guessing it's obviously Raheem, and it's maybe com@unnc.org, but we need to, I think it requires a board vote for that. I'm not sure, we'd have to read the policy, but if so, that's an agenda item for October 6th.
Okay. Is that it?
Yep.
We can talk. We can talk about that later. Boy, those deadlines that come before we meet again. All right. Thank you, everybody, for your time. Thank you for hanging in until almost 9 o'clock, and your comments and your input appreciated. The meeting is adjourned. It is 8:51 p.m.
Great.
Good
Good night,
night.
everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Well, Greg, we tried 8:30.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you, Donna.
You're welcome. Good night.
Good night. All right, everybody.